So, welcome to our blogs revision on the topic contemporary and emerging issues. And so, our today's class, we shall tackle some past papers concerning all the issues of the contemporary issues. Yes. And one of the questions that we shall handle is this one, is on December of 2021. You can open your past paper, deck of 2021, question 5B, December of 2021, question 5B, December of 2021. I will cater for that. Is it? Yes. And it is asking December of 2021, question 5B. I was just giving you time for you to peruse the book or the question bank. Just asking, e-commerce is buying and selling of goods online. Propose 5 elements of inherent risk associated with operating an e-commerce platform. Which are they? Elements of inherent risks associated with operating an e-commerce platform. Elements of inherent risks associated with operating an e-commerce platform. Which are they? Which are they? Somebody is saying hacking. E-commerce, anything that is related to online business and what have you. Thank you for that. Let's write number 1, online security. Is this person who have just say hacking? Hacking, clear, sure. Lack of cooperation from the staffs. Hacking, write this. Alternative of data. Thank you for that. Hacking, write this. Hacking, write this. No. Online security, write this. Sorry. Write this. There is a whole range of security. There is a whole range of security threats. There is a whole range of security threats out like phishing attacks. Phishing attacks. Hacking and spam mails. I've said there is a whole range of security threats out like phishing attack, hacking, and spam mails. Spam. This spam mails. Number 2, it says system reliability. System reliability. System reliability. You say system reliability. You say internet service provider, ISP, internet service provider, ISP, close the bracket, servers could clash, and the online payment could show errors, and the online payment could show errors. And the e-commerce plugin could have bugs. I've said inherent service provider, that is ISP, servers could clash, and the online payment could show errors, and the e-commerce plugin could have bugs. Number 3, say privacy issues. Privacy issues. That you say about the privacy issues, you say customers' personal data could be compromised. Customers' data could be compromised. Customers' data could be compromised. Customers' data could be compromised and used for spamming, identify theft, unsolicited marketing. Customers' personal data could be compromised as used for spamming, identify theft, and unsolicited marketing. Number 4, you write credit card fraud, credit card fraud, credit card fraud, credit card fraud, credit card fraud. You say, someone may use a stolen credit card. Someone may use a stolen credit card to make an online purchase. 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 Or a hacker could use stolen card data. Or a hacker could use, or a hacker could use a hacker could use stolen credit data from other customers, in your system. A hacker could use stolen credit data from other customers in your system. Last 3, number 5, you say customer dispute. Last 3, you say customer dispute, and you write there, a customer might not have received their order. A customer may not have received their order, comma. A customer might not have received their order, comma. Their credit card may be charged twice. Their credit card may be charged twice, comma. all product received didn't fit the online description. I've said about the customer dispute, you write, a customer might not have received their order. The credit card may be charged twice. All product received did not fit the online description. The next question that we shall write is on this above. No, the pilot papers. December of 2021, that's a pilot paper. December of 2021, back of 2021. Question 1A and B. Question 1A and B. It's a pilot paper. And the question asks, data analytics has been described as one of the modern ways of analyzing data in various professional fields. I repeat, data analytics have been described as one of the modern ways of analyzing data in various professional fields. Romane asks, explain how auditors can use data analytics techniques during the audit process. Ways in which somebody is saying that I repeat the system reliability. I've said about the system reliability, inherent service provider, into bracket ISP, server could crash, and the online payment could show errors, and the e-commerce plugin could have bugs. During our what? This question number A is asking how auditors can use data analytics techniques. Auditors can use data analytic techniques during the audit process. During the audit process. I can remember this was the last class during our usual classes. Is it? Is that true, Kimuyu? Is that true? Yes. Lucy, is that true? Am I right? Yes? I believe I'm right. Is it? Number one, let's write. Let's write. Let's write. Number one, net realizable value testing. Net realizable value testing. Value testing. And you write and say, comparing the last time, whether an inventory item, comparing the last time, whether an inventory item was purchased with the last time, it was sold and what price, comparing the last time when an inventory item was purchased with the last time it was sold and at what price. So you are just checking what was the purchase price. What was the what? Was the selling price? You see? Yes. Two, you say analysis of revenue threats by product and region. Analysis of revenue threats by product and region. Number 3, you say matching purchase order to invoice and payment. Matching purchase orders to invoices and payments. Number 4, you say segregation of duties. Segregation of duty testing. You say by identifying combination of users, involved in processing transactions, by identifying combination of users involved in processing transactions. Number 5, you say performing sampling. You can as well add what? But we wrote them. The others we wrote them, such as this can do, did, do testing. Can do, did, do. Can do, did, do testing. Another one, 7. Analyze of capital expenditure. Number 7, analyze capital expenditure versus repairs and maintenance. Analyze, analysis of capital expenditure versus repair and maintenance. Number 8, you can talk about the matches of orders to cash and purchases to payment. Matches or matching of orders to cash and purchases to payment. You are matching orders to cash and purchases to payments. Matches of orders to cash and purchases to payments. There are more. In those notes, the last note that I gave you about the computerized auditing in a computerized environment, the last word, the last thing that have been discussed there. That's all. Because you can as well add about the receivables and payables aging and the reduction in overdue debt over time. You see? Yes, you can check there. B asks, highlight the challenges that the auditor will encounter when using data analytics during the course of the audit. Right together, challenges. Challenges that the auditor will encounter during the course of the audit. Because of data analytics audit. During the course of audit, we're using data analytics. Data analytics. About the challenges that the auditor will encounter during the course of audit, we're using data analytics. Which are they? Number one, let me see. Some people are saying here. Somebody is asking about the can do, did do testing. Can do, did do, can do, did do testing of user code to test the segregation of duties. Right there, segregation of duties, and whether any inappropriate combination of users have been involved in processing. Right there, segregation, it's a test of segregation of duties or any mismatches in respect to the transactions. Are we together? Are we together now, Mohammed? Which are the challenges? Challenges that auditors will encounter when using data analytics during the course of the audit. That's right. Number one, data privacy and confidentiality. Data privacy and confidentiality. You say the copying and storage of client data, the copying and storage of client data, the copying and storage of client data risks breach of confidentiality, risks Sure, Evans. The copying and storage of client data risks breach of confidentiality and data protection laws and data protection laws. As the firm now stores a copy of large amount of detailed client data. Talking about the copying and storage of client data, risk breach of confidentiality and data protection laws, as the firm now stores a copy of large amount of detailed client data. Thank you for that, Mohammed. Number two, you say, insufficient or inappropriate data, insufficient or inappropriate evidence, sorry, insufficient or inappropriate evidence, sufficient or inappropriate evidence, insufficient or inappropriate evidence retained on file due to failure, retained on file due to failure, to understand, due to failure to understand or document the procedures and input fully. Insufficient or inappropriate evidence retained on the file due to failure to understand or document the procedures and input fully. Then an expectation gap. An expectation gap. How? You say, amongst stakeholders who thinks that because the auditor is testing 100% of transactions in a specific area, among stakeholders who think that because the auditor is testing 100% of transactions in a specific area, the client data must be 100% correct. The client's data must be 100% correct. See an expectation gap among the stakeholders who think that because the auditor is testing 100% of transaction in a specific area, the client's data must be 100% correct. Is it? Yes. For you say, compatibility issues. Compatibility issues with the client system, compatibility issues with the client systems may render standard tests ineffective if data is not available in expected format. Compatibility issues with client system may render standard tests ineffective if data is not available in the expected formats. Number 5, rastre. 5, rastre, you say, completeness and integrity. Completeness and integrity of the extracted client data may not be guaranteed. Completeness and integrity of the extracted client data may not be guaranteed. Then there is this question, December of 2021. Question 5B. Pilot paper. asking about explain the procedures that an auditor would carry out when performing an environment audit of sugar manufacturing company. Procedures that an auditor would carry out when performing an environment audit of a sugar company. Number one, you say planning the audit, planning the audit, planning the audit, running the audit. That is including activities to be conducted and responsibilities of each activity. Including activities to be conducted and responsibilities of each activity. Number two, review the company's environmental protection policy. Review the company's environmental protection policy and the applicable requirements. Review the company's environmental protection policy and the applicable requirements. Number three, assessment of the organization's management and equipment. Assessment of the organization's management and equipment. Then number four, gather data and relevant information. Gather data and relevant information. Number five, evaluate overall performance. Evaluate overall performance. Evaluate overall performance. Number six, identifies areas needing improvement. Identify areas needing improvement. November of 2018. November of 2018. Question 5A. November of 2018. Question 5A. It's asking, with respect to the information technology IT audit, explain the following terms. With respect to the ITA or information technology audit, explain the following terms. Number one is social media risk assessment. Social media risk assessment. You say, this is the process of identifying risks. This is the process of identifying risks. This is the process of identifying risks. This is the process of identifying risks through online sources. Through online sources. Comma, assess the impact and probability of these risks. This is the process of identifying risks through online sources. Comma, assess the impact and probability of these risks and developing risk mitigation plans. This is the process of identifying risks through online sources. Assess the impact and probability of these risks and developing risk mitigation plans. The two is software license review. Software license review. Software license review. You say this is a subset of software asset management. This is a subset of software asset management. And component of corporate risk management, and component of corporate risk management, of which the auditors has to check. The auditors has to check in order to determine if the software being used is legal and correct, of which the auditor has to check in order to determine the software being used is legal and correct. Number 3 is IT governance audit. IT governance audit. IT governance audit. You say this is an audit which is aimed. This is an audit. This is an audit which is aimed at determining. This is an audit which is aimed at determining the role of the relationship between management, the board of directors and other stakeholders. The board of directors and other directors. This is an audit which is aimed at determining the role of the relationship between management, the board of directors and other stakeholders. Number 4 is IT risk assessment audit. IT risk assessment audit. IT risk assessment audit. You say this is an audit which involves assessing the risks. This is an audit which involves assessing the risk associated with use the use of IT. This is an audit which involves assessing the risk associated with the use of IT in an organization and how to mitigate the risk. The use of IT in an organization and how to mitigate the risks. And how to mitigate the risks. How to mitigate the risks. And how to mitigate the risks. Somebody is saying, pardon the second one. The second one on software license review. And it reads like this, that this is a subset of software asset management and component of corporate risk management, of which the auditors has to check in order to determine if the software being used is legal and correct. The next question. It's explain the following terms. It's May of 2018. May of 2018. Question 2B. Just can you explain the following terms as used as contemporary audit? Explain the following terms as used in contemporary audit. Number one, we have cyber insurance. What is cyber insurance? Cyber insurance. Cyber insurance. Cyber insurance. Cyber insurance. You say cyber insurance is an insurance product. Cyber insurance is an insurance product designed to help businesses hedge. What is hedging? What is hedging? Hedging is a way of doing what? Yes? What is hedging? All right, student, what is hedging? Physical student, what is hedging? What is hedging? Hedging is a way of minimizing risks because in the derivatives, what is derivatives? I think you have learned it there in the, is it a fund? Derivative. We have three participants. Is it? There is hedgers, there are the speculators, as well as the arbitrators. Is it? Hedgers, they enter into the market to minimize the risks. Is it? You want to minimize the risks. Speculators are like the Kikuyus. They are here to take risk and maximize their profits. Is it? What about the arbitrators? No, arbitrage. Arbitrage are the forex guys, which their main view is to do what? Is to make some profits in a short-term period. You see? That's why if you have a friend of yours who does forex, before you wake up at 5, he or she have already earned, because probably he or she woke up at 1 or 2 and he made money and slept at 4. You see? Yes. See? Yes. Thank you, Mohammed, for your contribution. So, cyber insurance, I've said cyber insurance is an insurance product designed to help business hedge against the potentially devastating effects of cyber crimes, potentially devastating events such as the cyber crimes, And for the online student, your marking scheme is here. I have some physical student here. When you are writing, make sure that you're not left behind. Are you together? Yes. Because there is no question of pardon here, but there is a frequent questions here of pardon. You see? Somebody is asking about, come again on social media risk assessment. Are you together there, honorary student? Yes. Let's begin, and make sure that your connection is appropriate. Yes. The social media risk assessment says this is the process of identifying risk through online source assessment, the impact and probability of these risks, and developing risk mitigation plans. Are together, Galaxy S8? I'm hoping we are together. I've said the cyber insurance, that's where we are. Cyber insurance is an insurance product. Cyber insurance is an insurance product designed to help business hedge against the potentially devastating effect of cyber crimes, such as malware, ransomware, distributed denial of service, distribution denial of service, commonly known as DDoS. I've said distributed denial of service, distributed denial of service attacks, or any other method used to compromise a network and sensitive data, or any other method used to compromise a network and sensitive data. What was the last word that I've said? I'm not saying that I'm okay. Have I said I'm okay? The last word. I'm back. Let's work together. Social engineering. Social engineering. Social engineering. Social engineering. Everything shall be well, my friend. Is it? You don't have to worry about anything. With God, everything is well. You see? Even as there are some things that if we may think, we won't sleep. You see? We just say, I just do what I can do and leave the rest to God. Is it? Yes, yes. Thank you. See? That's the best way to live this life. Otherwise, everybody have stress, including me, is it? Yes. I can remember when we were running what? We were running which unit? And remember whether it was human resource. It was an unit in the undergraduate. And that professor, can remember him telling us that some stress are good, is it? Yes, some stress are good. He was classifying productivity and stress in this respect. Productivity and stress. And he was saying here, there is no stress, no stress. Are you together? Here, there is normal or optimal. Cannot remember. Optimal stress. Then here, he was giving us what? Which is extensive. I can't really remember, but it was something like extensive stress. And then he was drawing this diagram like this. Drawing that diagram like that. He was saying, if you don't have stress, you won't even desire to do CPA. You won't even desire to do AA. You won't even feel it when you're doing the CASNEP. So your productivity is 0. You see? But when you have some stress, you have some optimal stress, your productivity is high. So you are working. You see? You're stressed. What shall I buy? What shall I need to buy a rad somewhere, you see? Those stress, I need to complete CPA. Some optimal strengths are good because it yields what? Yes. But past this now, it's what called depression, which is wrong. Is it? Yes, we should not be depressed. See? That's where we usually say, talk to somebody. Is it? Yes. Go to someone, then cry. If you have to cry, even the men, you see, you don't have to kill yourself with the stress. You see? Go to somebody, you see, talk to them, you see. That goes without saying. After this class, you go and say hi to your long time friend. You see, probably they are struggling with depression. Tell them that it's not the end. You see? Yes. When it's not right, it's not yet the end. There is still hope. Is it? The stress is good, but at optimal level. Is it? Yes. Oh, we were where? We were at the social engineering. Say, social engineering. Social engineering. Say, social engineering is the act of tricking someone. Social engineering is the act of tricking someone. Social engineering is the act of tricking someone into diverging information. Into diverging information or taking action, usually through technology. Social engineering is the act of tricking someone into diverging information or taking action, usually through technology. The idea behind social engineering, the idea of potential, the idea of social engineering, the idea behind social engineering is to take advantage of a potential victim. The idea behind social engineering is to take advantage of a potential victim. Potential victims, natural tendencies, and emotional reaction. The idea behind social engineering is to take advantage of a potential victims, natural tendencies, and emotional reactions. The next one, number 3, is data protection. Data protection is number 3. Data protection, you say, refers to securing programs laid in place. Refers to security programs laid in place by management. Refers to security programs laid in place by management to ensure that information only lands in the hands of relevant people only. Refers to security programs laid in place by management to ensure that information only lands in the hands of relevant people only. Number 4, remediation procedures. Remediation procedures. Remediation procedures. procedures. Remediation procedures. Remediation procedures, you say, refers to postmortem follow-up reviews, refers to postmortem follow-up reviews by the audit committee, refers to postmortem follow-up reviews by the audit committee, refers to the postmortem follow-up reviews by the audit committee beyond the oversight role, in order to understand what went wrong. Refers to postmortem follow-up reviews by the audit committee beyond the oversight role in order to understand what went wrong. Ensure remediation actions. Ensure remediation actions and probing of other areas of vulnerability. Lastly, we have forensic accounting. Forensic accounting. I believe everybody knows what's forensic accounting or who is a forensic accountant. Okay? And kindly don't differentiate, don't grade when differentiating forensic accounting and forensic auditing or forensic auditor. We say forensic accounting is the use of accounting skills. To investigate fraud or embezzlement. Forensic accounting is the use of accounting skills to investigate fraud or embezzlement. Forensic accounting is the use of accounting skills to investigate fraud or embezzlement and to analyze financial information for use in legal proceeding. Forensic accounting is the use of accounting skills to investigate fraud or embezzlement and to analyze financial information for use in the legal proceeding. Forensic accounting is the use of accounting skills to investigate fraud or embezzlement and to analyze financial information for use in legal proceeding. The second last question in this contemporary and emerging issues was asked in November 2017. November of 2017, question 2A. And actually, it's a definition question. Explain the following terms as used in contemporary audit. Kind of a continuation. Number one, you have environmental audit. We say it is systematic process. It is a systematic process. It is a systematic process. It is a systematic process of determining whether the entity, it is a systematic process of determining whether the entity is complying with environmental targets. It is a systematic process of determining whether The entity is complying with the environmental targets. By the management, as well as environmental rules, as well as the environmental rules and regulations affecting the entity operation. Environmental audit is the systematic process of determining whether the entity is complying with the environmental targets by the management, as well as environmental rules and regulations affecting the entity operations. Examples of environmental target include, which are some of the examples of the environmental audit? Number one, you say number one, minimization of wastage during production process. 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 Number two, compliance. Number two, compliance with health and safety issues. Compliance with health and safety issues. Next, you say minimization of pollution to the atmosphere. Minimization of pollution to the atmosphere. Number two, we have a corporate governance. Corporate governance. Corporate governance. You say it refers to the conduct of managing a corporate entity. It refers to conduct of managing a corporate entity. It refers to the conduct of managing a corporate entity for purpose of ensuring, an effective operation of the entity, an effective operation of the entity, and controlling the entity in the interest of the stakeholders. It refers to the conduct of managing a corporate entity for purpose of ensuring an effective operation of the entity and controlling the entity in the interest of the stakeholders. Lastly, number three is what we call ERM, or enterprise risk management. Enterprise risk management, ERM. Enterprise risk management. Enterprise risk management. Enterprise risk management, ERM. You say there is the process of planning, organizing, is the process of planning, organizing, reading, and controlling the activities of an organization. The process of planning, organizing, reading, and controlling the activities of an organization in order to minimize the effect of risks, on an organization, capital, and earnings. It's the process of planning, organizing, reading, and controlling the activities of an organization in order to minimize the effects of risk on an organization's capital and earnings. You can as well say something about it and continue and say, the responsibility of establishing an ERM's, the responsibility of establishing an ERM is that of the client management, through the entities audit committee, together with the internal auditors. The last question is on September 2015. Question 4C, September of 2015, question 4C, September of 2015, question 4B. Oh, it's 4C. Sorry, it's 4C. September of 2015, question 4C. And it asks, knowledge of the business is crucial in determining the most effective and efficient audit strategy of an entity using the Internet of Electronic Commerce. Any auditor needs to have an in-depth understanding of the related risks and the measures to minimize them. Required, discuss the impact of e-commerce on the audit process. Impact of e-commerce on the audit process. Is the last question in this. Number one. Number one is that auditor may need the work of an expert. Auditor may need the work of an expert to evaluate some sophisticated. Auditor may need the work of an expert to evaluate some sophisticated systems and transactions trails. Auditor may need the work of an expert to evaluate some sophisticated systems and transactions trails. Number two, some audit evidence may be available in the electronic form. Some audit evidence may be available in electronic form, and auditors must evaluate, how these affect the ability to gather sufficient audit evidence. Some audit evidence may be available in electronic form, and the auditors must evaluate how this affects their ability to gather sufficient audit evidence. Some audit evidence may be available in electronic form, and the auditors must evaluate how this affects their ability to gather sufficient audit evidence. Number 3, auditors must consider the availability of electronic evidence. Auditors must consider the availability of electronic evidence. Are enough and plan their evidence gathering accordingly. Auditor must consider the availability of electronic evidence are enough and plan their evidence gathered accordingly. Are enough and plan their evidence gathering accordingly. Are enough and plan their evidence gathered accordingly. Number 4, inherent risks are minimal. Inherent risks are minimal. Inherent risks are minimal, especially where electronic payment are involved. Inherent risks are minimal. Inherent risks are minimal, especially where electronic payments are involved. Inherent risks are minimal, especially where electronic payments are involved. Inherent risks are minimal, especially where electronic payments are involved. And those are all the questions that pertains what? Pertains the contemporary and emerging issues in audit. No other questions that have ever been asked that we have not reviewed. All of these are the questions involving what? Yes, that have ever been asked. So allow me to give you like 10 minutes, you relax a bit, and then we come and do the what? The errors. Yes, the errors. Yes. So 10 minutes maximum. So welcome back. Yes. We shall tackle the next 20 or 10 minutes. You can just brainstorm about the issues of what? I can see some text here. Somebody is saying here that yes, somebody is saying here, I can see ready with me. Thank you, sir. You are the best. I'm humbled and I glorify God for that. Marion took a break. Am I audible now? Everything is well. Hoping there is no hanging or I'm being heard. Everything is well from your head. We'll just brainstorm about the errors, frauds, and irregularities. May not even write, because the questions here that have ever been tested in regard to the errors, fraud, and irregularities, topic 11, they are not that quite much. Yes, they are around just 6 questions that have ever been asked from May of 2018 to April of 2022. There are just 8 questions on errors, fraud, and irregularities. And so I would prefer we go through the what? I would prefer we just skim in the next 10 minutes. We just skim this topic of errors, frauds, and other irregularities. Frauds, errors, and other irregularities. Is it? We just have a scheme of whatever we have in the notes, because everything that have been tested so far, but you can go and check onto these questions. Is it? Yes. At your free time, you can go and check these questions. You just direct. At your free time, you can go and check these questions. They are just 6. We have April of 2022. April of 2022. Question 3B. That is Roman 1, 2, and 3. Number 2, you go and check September of 2021. Question 4. So it was all of it, A, B, C. Then 3, go and check May of 2021. May of 2021. Question 4B. Then 4, you go and check November of 2020. 2020. Question 2B. 5, you go and check May of 2021. No, 2019. Question 4B. And lastly, number 6, you go and check May of 2019. No, 2018. Question 1A. Those are just the questions that have ever been tested in errors, frauds, and irregularities. Can remember the recent one? They were asking about the issues of what? They were asking about the issues of the fraud triangle. The fraud diamond. You know them, is it? I believe you know them, is it? Yes, fraud diamond and fraud triangle. We have been talking about them here. So let's just have a scheme of the same. About the fraud, no, about the errors, frauded, other irregularities. What is errors? Errors they are? Errors is an innocent or an intentional misstatement. What about fraud? Fraud is deliberate act by an individual or in collusion, which involves deception with the name of gaining an undue or illegal financial advantage. What about irregularities? Irregularities, this is an activity or an event that is contrary to the company's policy. Are you together? For now, a question can come, the difference between error and fraud. Which are the differences between errors and fraud? Number 1, we say this is unintentional, is it? What about this? It is intentional. Another difference, what about who conduct the mostly? Mostly done by the juniors. Mostly conducted by juniors. What about the fraud? By the seniors. Another difference, we can talk about what? Is it, these are easy to detect. Is it easy to detect? What about this one? Hard to detect. Is it? Yes. Those are some of the many differences between errors. Do not involve collusion. Yes, sure. Do not involve collusion. So don't involve collusion. What about this one? Involve collusion. Is it? Yes, those are some of the differences. Frauds are criminal actions. Sure. That's according to OPPO 96. Frauds are criminal actions. What about the errors? They are not a criminal actions among others. Is it? Yes. You're tired. If you're tired, you can call it a day. You're tired. Okay. Can call it a day. You see now, you're here to maximize your intake. If your intake is compromised, we call it a crash, is it? Yes. Susie, sema kakitu. You're tired? Okay. Thank you. Then, classifications of frauds may be into two. That is, I'm reading directly from the notes that I shared. Is it? About errors, frauds, and irregularities. So you can just open those notes, those PDFs, because I will be faster. Are you together? Classification of fraud and may cause material misstatement. They are classified into two. That is fraudulent financial reporting and misappropriation of the company's asset. And we're talking about the fraudulent financial reporting, or what we're talking about is manipulation or falsification or alteration of accounting records, misrepresentation or omission of events in financial statement, as well as intentional misappropriation of accounting policies and recording transaction without substance. Are together? And the techniques used by management to override controls to engage in fraudulent financial reporting include the following: that is recording fictitious journal entries, something that is not even into existence. Number two is inappropriate adjusting assumptions, you see. Then number three is omitting and advancing or delaying recognition of events and transactions. Later is concealing facts that could have material impact on the financial statements. Last, together now, we are saying that in here, am I audible now? Am I audible now? Am I audible now? I'm hoping I am audible enough. Yes. And so we are saying that in errors, fraud, and irregularities, there are just these 6 questions, which are there direct to the notes that we have. So we shall just skim. And we are here, factors that may increase the risk of fraud and errors in an organization. You can open those notes because I will be very fast. We have the domination by a single individual. Number 2, we have the complex organizational structure, deficiency of the ICS, a large amount of cash at hand, as well as the characteristics of inventory. Indicators of fraud. How can you detect that there is some frauds and some irregularities? Not having missing vouchers, missing document, unsupportive or unauthorized transactions, unsatisfactory explanations, unexplained amount in suspense, last-minute adjustments, as well as the failure of figures to agree with the expectation. And which now are the responsibilities of management regarding to prevention of and detection of fraud and errors? So the management has what? They have the sole responsibility of preventing and detecting what? The frauds and errors. Are together? And which are the ways in which the directors discharge their responsibility in preventing and detecting the fraud and errors? We have complying with the principle of good corporate governance, designing and implementing effective systems of controls. We have continuous monitoring. Is it? Continuous monitoring, establishing an internal audit function. We have establishing an audit committee and establishing a compliance function. Responsibility of external auditor. Remember, it's not the duty of who? It's not the duty of any auditor, or it's not his or her responsibility to prevent or detect fraud and errors. But the auditor should approach the audit with a professional skepticism. What is professional skepticism? Professional skepticism, it's a way of approaching the audit task in that you have the mentality or connotation that they already have some material misstatement. So you shall be more cautious. Are you together? Yes. Then the role of professional skepticism in prevention of detection of fraud and errors. The maintenance of the professional skepticism enables the auditor to reduce the risk of overlooking unusual transactions, overgeneralizing. 3, using appropriate assumptions, and it can cause the auditor to maintain alertness to contradictory evidence, as well as it causes the auditor to carry out critical assessment, the validity of the evidence obtained. Examples of applications of the professional skepticism. We have the going concern issues, forming an audit opinion, evaluating an audit evidence, obtaining the evidence, audit evidence, and developing audit plan and risk assessment. Those are the types of the professional skepticism. Number 1, I have said. Yes. Going concern. Next. Risk assessment. Risk assessment. Then another one. Formation of an audit opinion. Another one. Evaluating audit evidence. I've said examples of professional skepticism are, number 1, yes, forming an opinion, evaluating audit evidence, risk assessment, that is according to Marion Sheira, that's true. I've said now we have the risk assessment. We have obtaining audit evidence and developing audit plan, then evaluating audit evidence, forming an audit opinion, as well as the going concern. You're almost done. Responsibilities of the company. Responsibilities of the company's internal auditor for detection and prevention of frauds and errors, which are the responsibility of the internal auditor in regard to the detection of frauds and errors. Number 1, internal auditor have a significant role in prevention of and detection of the frauds and errors. It's the duty of internal auditor to prevent and to detect the frauds and errors. And in an examination whereby You may not remember much. Those are 2 points. To prevent what? Frauds and errors, as well as to detect frauds and errors. Next is you should be able to identify deficiencies in the system and advise the management. Right together? Yes. Then the next one, you should do what? He should report any suspicion of fraud. You see? Then as well as investigate. Yes. Action taken by external auditor on suspicion of fraud and errors. Assuming now you are the external auditor and you have come across that into this organization, there are some frauds and errors. What can you do? What can you do? Number one, you can report to the management. Is it? You report to the management and tell them that there is some frauds and errors. There is some suspicion. Then consider the materiality. If some frauds are not material, you just need to include it into the emphasis of matter paragraph. Is it? Yes. You don't have to even to qualify the report. Then, if the matter is material, carry out further procedures. Then if procedures confirm that the fraud has actually occurred, consider the impact of the financial statement. And lastly, you consider the implication of fraud and other areas of the financial statement. Then, reporting fraud, errors, and irregularities. How should you report as an auditor? Because I know some of you or many of you will be auditors or will be working in an audit firm, or you shall establish your audit firm. You see, you have the following, that the auditor should always report to the management. If you suspect or in regard to the report, you report it to the management. Two, the auditor should only report to the board if the executive is involved. So you should just report to the board of governance if they are involved in the fraud. Then the auditor need not to report to the shareholders if the fraud does not affect the financial statement. That's what I'm saying. That if the fraud does not affect the financial statement, you don't need to tell who? To tell the shareholders. Then lastly, the auditor is bound by the principle of confidentiality and cannot disclose to that party. However, there are some exemptions. So you should not disclose that information to that party. The second last thing into this topic is about the specific examples of fraud and errors. And they include teaming and landing, that is carry over fraud. That is, this is a fraud that is conducted in the sales ledger, which involves misappropriation of receipts from the debtors. Right together. Lastly, we have the examples of errors and frauds that could take place in the purchase and creditors. We have number one, fictitious purchases. Fictitious purchases. Number two, you have double processing of an invoice, hence double payment. An invoice, you process it twice, so as you can earn something. Then number three, you have double posting of an invoice, hence overstating liabilities. And lastly, non-delivery of goods which are later invoiced. Non-delivery of goods which are later invoiced. That's the end of our today's class. From next class, we can check onto our mock. Is it? Yes. Any question? Thank you for your time. We can call it a class.